Animation is a tough process that takes quite a bit of effort. But what if you're making a game by yourself and you have 40 characters planned? Can we create a new animation once and reuse it for many characters, even if they look way different? Today we'll cover how to get your art from the Adobe Animate to Illustrator to Character Animator. And we will create a reusable animation in Character Animator from the front flip video. Couple of questions that you may have right away. First of all, why bother with all this animation? Let's refer to the rigging window. If we want to have a granular control over the character, we have all this many moving pieces across our characters. And if we want to control it at the same time, it's really hard to do it manually, so we need software. And second big question is, why do we need so many controls and why is the rigging window so busy? In this case, we just want to have a full turnaround of the character with front, back, three-quarter views and so on. I mean, look at this video. How can we animate it properly without being able to rotate the character around? If we are not having the complete rotation, we're limited in a very few things that we can do. I was exploring the motion tracking and various ways to handle and animate the 2D character. Let's use all those bits and pieces that we created before to create the animation from the video. So let's imagine we want to create a front flip. We have this video for reference, but we don't have to do it exactly like that. We can just animate it step by step, moving the frame by frame, or animate 10 seconds as it's supposed to be, but essentially we get our puppet in. This is a very tedious process and very manual. The result can be as good as you want it to be, but it's very labor intensive and it's very hard to do it for many characters. What we can do instead is use Adobe Character Animator to rig a character, use Media Automation to animate the character, and use my code to replay different animations in the future for the different characters. That allows us to create a front flip animation once, and then we take the new character, we rig it in the same way as before, which allows us to replay the animations that we created, and another character will also do a front flip without extra preparation after rigging. This way, every time we create the new animation, we can reuse it for many characters. And the animation will also look a little bit different because we can rig the characters a little bit different with the different ranges of movements and different dangling pieces. So let's go to the step 1, rigging the character. To handle all range of motions, we need to rig a full character turnaround. Not sure how that will affect the performance, but it does work so far. My PC is very strong though. Worst case scenario in the future, if it starts lagging, we can start separating the pieces and only using the pieces of turnarounds that we're actually gonna use in a scene. We'll not stop on that today. I don't have full turnaround for the bunny ready, so boo it is. And we will see how to reuse it later for the bunny. So we will have the front flip for the boo, and we'll see how the bunny will be able to follow it later. Our main character is developed in Flash, so first thing that we need to do is move it from Flash to Illustrator. I find it much easier to work in Adobe Animate, and it allows us to create very nice custom animations. So we will continue to develop our puppet there, and the Illustrator would be the transitional kind of program. We'll see if we can automate this as well. Maybe gonna publish some template in the future, so keep track on updates on Discord. To export the character, we need the hidden ninja settings of the Adobe Animate. It's really not intuitive. We need to export the pictures to use with Illustrator. So to create the pictures, we navigate to File, Export, Export Movie, and the format of our movie is SVG. And this will create the picture for every single frame of our characters, and it will not be just a picture, it will be the part of the body that we can copy and paste in the Illustrator. In order to have the full turnaround, we will use front, back, left, right, and 4 diagonals for three-quarter views. This export procedure is not a perfect thing, as body parts are all over the place, but it's not that hard to bring them together and adjust everything back. And we'll have to put everything in a different layers anyway, so it's not like we would not have to do any adjustments without it. So let's do exactly that. We open SVGs that we created, we find everything in scope for our rotation, we bring it into Illustrator, and we start building up our views. We create the new top layer for every single view, and this way every rotation will have the fully separate puppet. Now it's all about aligning everything and calling all the layers consistently, so every rotation and every layer is actually named in the same way, so it's much easier for you to work with it in the future. This is a lot of clicking around, but nothing too complex. And while you're doing it, you can make sure that your model is consistent, maybe fix something on your art. It's very useful to have a gut check on your puppet. You can see the whole process on the screen, and it does not take too much time. One thing to pay attention is arms. They're supposed to be in this way, and right and left view specifically look kind of awkward, but this is a way for us to animate. The arm's supposed to be in a starting position for all the rotations. Here's a quick review of how layers are set in Illustrator. We have the top layer for the character. Under the top layer, we have the turnaround, so front, back, etc. Each one contains a full character that is rigged in exactly the same way. We'll review one, but every single rotation would be the same, with the only difference that the layer order would be different because different arms will be visible or invisible based on where we rotate. Next, we'll have the layer for the left arms. This is where you have the layer where you store your arm art. Inside that, we have one more layer for the arm itself. We need this extra layer for the behavior in Character Animator to work properly. I had some issues with that when it was connected directly to the body. Then we'll have to deal with the shoulders. Inside the shoulders, we see the collection of the different type of shoulders based on the arm flip, if our arm is inside of the body or outside of the body, so we can orient the elbow in a proper direction. Second layer contains everything that's supposed to go inside. As we're moving the shoulder joint, elbow also moves and the wrist also moves. So forearm and the wrist go inside. So as we're rotating the shoulder, the nested guys also move along. And as we drill down, we see the similar logic between the elbow and the wrist. Because we have forearms that can be cycled around based on if our arm is inside or outside. And we have the nested wrists. Legs are set up in exactly the same way. We have the hip on top, then we have nested knee and nested foot. Nothing special really happens with the head at the moment, so just follow any other Character Animator tutorial and rig your blinking and head following for the camera. The rest of the body is not really involved much. I do have the transform behavior for the body in order to have this bend in the back on the side view, but I did not decide much what to do with that, so maybe give me some ideas. We'll use the joint angles to control the character. If we enable the motion capture, we can see what I'm talking about. When I move around, or if I found a video of someone doing something that I want to do but can't, the movement is represented by these green skeletons that you can see on the screen. We want to grab this animated skeleton and we want to use it to animate the Character Animator character. I want to make a front flip, so I went to YouTube's and I did found the one front flip that I did like. I can totally do it myself, but just decided to find it on YouTube. Now we have the motion capture already developed for the video, so we run it through and we recognize the joints and save it to the file. If you want the process in a little bit more detail, refer to that video. After that, we have the file with the values that we want to send to the Character Animator, but we want to process them a little bit. And we can use it to send the MIDI value to the Character Animator. And that's pretty much it. Just adjust the values until it looks good and rig your knees and you're good to go. The final adjustments that we need to do are all in Character Animator. After we updated the Illustrator file, we need to rig Puppet 8 times for every single rotation. If we called layers in the same way, it should be fairly straightforward, but if we did not, then you're probably gonna be confused. I definitely was. The whole process took me 2 hours and I did it first time, so I assume nothing too bad. So what do we want to do here? We want to nest all the layers together that should move together. So if you have the shoulder, elbow, and the wrist should be inside to move them together, as we discussed on the Illustrator side. But in here, we can see that if we move the shoulder, the elbow and wrist are moving. Additionally, in order to do that, for every single part that actually has to move, we add the transform behavior, and this is what allows us to use the rotation that is going to move the body. But in this case, pay attention to this dot and make sure that it actually represents the elbow, etc., and move it around if you're not happy with the way your character moves. After we are done with rigging, we can move towards the control window where we can drag all the controls for the behaviors that we set up. There is a lot, so organization is the key here. You can see that the top left line is the left shoulder, the right side is the right shoulder, second line is elbow, and the last line is a wrist. And way below, we have hip, knees, and feet. Now we can start experiments to record the animation. Let's replay the result of our front flip analysis and see how it looks. First thing that is immediately obvious as we start playing with that is that we need to do something with legs touching the ground. It feels like a new issue, but we actually dealt with it before. We solved it in this video where we taught the bunny how to drive. The answer is complicated and the term is inverse kinematics. This essentially means that we will have two modes for the legs. There is a mode where we fly, jump, or in general not touching the ground. And in this case, we will be handling the animation in the same way as we handle the hands. We will just use the joints and it's attached to the hip, attached to the knee, etc. But if we're touching the ground or if the leg is below the ground, then we'll need to do some processing to get it up above the ground. So what we do is we draw a line and the line will represent the ground. And we measure the distance between the ground and the feet. When the foot is far from the ground, we consider that the character is flying, so we just turn off the mode where we use the inverse kinematics. We know where the hip joint is and we know where we need to put the foot. Now all we have to do is to figure out what is the angle that our joints need to take in order to get into that position. And we can use it with inverse kinematics, but we will have to deal with it a little bit later. It asks for a lot of debug. For now, we will just record whatever is happening, where we're in the ground, where we're under the ground, and it not looks too bad as it. We'll also need to find some balance around being too sticky and too slidey. This is always an interesting issue, but I think we'll find some sort of a dynamic threshold that we can use to let the program know if the character should be standing on the ground or walking around. So we'll see how to handle it in the future, and the legs will be the next consideration definitely. When we are playing with animation, we can also make adjustments to the art itself, because we rig the character in a way where the behavior is on the top layer, and the top layer allows us to have this nested art that will not break the rigging in case the art is being replaced. When we are happy with the way things look, we are ready to record. To do that, turn off all the MIDI controls. After that, we turn them on one by one based on whatever the programmers tell you to turn on, and we record different parts of the body separately, but as they stacking up and up, at the end we have the full animations that we want to receive. We want to record them separately because when we replay many MIDI controls, the character is choking around. It does not really follow the MIDI values in the best way. I have idea how to bypass it, but not tested yet. After we've done with that and we recorded our behavior and happy with that, we can export the PNG sequence and we can import it in the Unreal Engine, or we can import it in a Premiere Pro if we are just interested in video. Now we have the workflow ready and we can rig the new characters, and let's see how we can reuse it. The animation itself still looks a little bit dirty, so we'll be able to clean it up, and we'll be working on the tools that will allow us to smooth out this process and get rid of all those jittery pieces in a nicer way, because so far we have to open the file and kind of look for the numbers. It's really inconvenient, so there gotta be a better way. Lots of things to do in the future, but the animation software really starts to take a shape, and the character animator is a big help on that. So let me know if you want to try something. Best way to reach me is the Discord if you have the questions, or you just want to share whatever you're doing. Get your final statement. Cheers.